we're talking Bryce Young. Let's talk about that game. Chiefs 30, Panthers 27. Chiefs move to 10-1. Panthers fall to 3-8. Steelers get the walk-off field goal in a game where, man, the Panthers hung tough. Early on, it looked like the Chiefs were going to dominate, as they should have been, as double-digit favorites against the 3-win Panthers. Mahomes with he was kind of unstoppable. The offense was unstoppable in the first half. Panthers fought back, though, and again, I think Bryce Young is playing outstanding football and doing it against a very good Chiefs defense, which over the last couple weeks maybe has not been as dominant. And so Chiefs get the win, but, in less dominant fashion as you expected.
Yeah, I mean, I felt sorry for Carolina because they really hung tough in this game, both sides of the ball. Like, Bryce Young had a really good game, which when you consider the scaling up of the difficulty assignment, I think is a really encouraging thing for him. I mean, this was good in absolute terms, not in relative terms to expectations, which has been like the last few weeks, like, Bryce Young's looked better. I mean, he's looked better. He still hasn't looked good necessarily. This game, he looked good. I mean, genuinely was impressive. He had, on first run with PFF, he's got 5 big-time throws in this game. Again, one of them not complete. One of them was a dime to Xavier Legette, however we're terming that these days. Again, isn't able to come up with it down the sideline, but dropped it into a bucket. This looked like Alabama Bryce Young, where he's cool on the move, he's poised, he's dropping these passes in there where the arm strength is not an issue because he's able to get it where he needs to get it. This was really impressive. And the defense showed up as well. Like, they were sacking Mahomes. That doesn't tend to happen. This is like the highest sack rate Mahomes had in a game for a long time. They got home, and then right at the death, Bryce Young brings him down, gets the tying score.
And the 2-point conversion.
And the 2 points. Only there's some time on the clock, so Mahomes gets to go to work. And then right when he needs it, Mahomes just takes off, scrambles, makes a big play. It's like, God damn it. So really unfortunate because Carolina, their performance deserved to be sort of given the accolade of knocking off Kansas City and being rewarded for it. In the end, you just have to take the kind of moral victory of saying, well, Bryce Young did have a really good game. We did show up against one of the better teams in the league, and can we feel good about that even though we got an L?
Yeah, for the third straight game, cannot say enough nice things about Bryce Young. And I want to say, I think it's the first couple of games was against lesser teams, and it was just coming out of low expectations, right? It's like the expectations were so low for Bryce Young, but
it was signs of life rather than anything else.
Yes, but in this one with Kansas City, I mean, Spags did his overload blitz on third down, and Bryce Young's like, nope, anticipation, pinpoint accurate. I'm going to convert this thing. That has not happened. That has not happened a lot over the last 2 or 3 years against the Chiefs. It just looks and feels different. This is what we said the first couple of weeks when he was only putting up 145 passing yards and like I said, pedestrian stat lines. It looks and feels different, and he's doing it with David Moore, catching six balls for 62 yards, and 6 for 81, hitting him over the middle, throwing anticipation passes over the middle, doing the Alabama type of stuff, Alabama type of feel, Alabama type of pocket movement. It's all not perfect, but it's so much better than it was. And I'll say it's enough. It's enough that if you told me 4 weeks ago, hey, the Panthers, absolutely, they should be scouting every single quarterback, and they're absolutely taking a quarterback with their top 10 pick, I think it's enough these last few weeks that Bryce Young puts himself back on the radar as potential Panthers quarterback for 2025. I
mean, if this happened in week 11 or 12 last year, we would be saying, wow, Bryce Young just turned a corner. Bryce, he's arrived, right? Look at this. This is the number 1 overall pick playing against one of the best defenses in the NFL, putting up 5 big-time throws, looking cool, calm, and collected in the pocket, and working without a stellar, receiving core, et cetera, et cetera. We'd be so impressed. It's only because you've seen an absolute season of disaster and then him getting benched already that you're like, maybe. But this was genuinely impressive by Bryce Young. I don't want to belabor the point too much because, I think we've probably given him quite a lot of praise over the last few weeks where it has been relative to expectations. but this was legit. Bryce Young was very good in this game. On 3rd and 4th down, he was 8 of 12 for 116 yards, 9.7 yards per attempt. Like, he was good in adverse situations. He was good in good situations, good across the board. And I think, again, the Panthers defense did its part as well. This is not a good defense, and yet they played well.
They did. Look, I thought the Panthers started slow with that. I mean, the pockets were massive for Mahomes, and I'm thinking, okay, this is one of the biggest mismatches in the NFL. We had been trashing the Panthers' pass rush this entire season. They came into the game with, 12 sacks, and that's not even telling the entire story. They don't even get close to the quarterback more often than not. But DJ Wanham had some great rushes, Jadeveon Clowney. It was by far Carolina's best game rushing the passer, and that is a big part of what kept them in it. Like, look, Kansas City, the Panthers also, like the beginning of the second half, they went 15 plays for 75 yards. Every week we talk about keeping the ball out of Mahomes' hands. That's one of those drives that did it. They didn't took up the half of the third quarter. So Kansas City did not have a ton of possessions. They only punted twice, but those were some key stops in the fourth quarter to give Carolina opportunities to make the play, to make the comeback, essentially. So Panthers defense absolutely deserves a lot of credit for kind of turning a corner. Like, they didn't make many stops early on. Couple in the red zone, got Mahomes on the ground 5 times. One of them was he was giving it up, just trying to keep the clock running late in the game. But that was unexpected from me.
Yeah.
This Panthers pass rush actually doing some damage. And look, the Panthers are far more competitive now than they were when Bryce Young was a QB the first couple weeks of the season. So I think that's at least a good sign for Dave Canales as a first-year head coach, getting them moving in the right direction here, having this game against Kansas City.
Dave Canales, I think, has done a really good job, basically, since Bryce Young came back into the lineup. I think one of the elements of his early season struggle, and he was broken at that point, but he wasn't being helped out by the scheme either. Like, this idea of the offseason, they upgraded the offensive line, the receiving core, and the coaching staff and scheme. And Canales has got a history of fixing these quarterbacks that had struggled. The first couple of weeks, like, the offense was not doing an awful lot that played to Bryce Young's strengths or minimized where he was really struggling. Since he came back, like literally the first game he came back, they were clearly doing different things that helped him out. They were moving the pocket. They weren't just leaving him in this, collapsing pocket that he can't see over. They were getting him on the move. They were shifting the pockets. They were doing things that helped Bryce Young out. I think Canales has really helped and sort of gotten in sync with Bryce Young and is a big part of this improvement now. The one thing that the defense did, they blitzed Mahomes. Like, Mahomes is in that category of, like, you don't blitz him. He carves it up. It's a bad idea, right? You blitz him, big plays, don't do it. They were like, what the hell? We might as well. We're going to go down anyway. We might as well go down swinging. They dialed up blitzes, and they did it. They timed it well. They got to him. And Mahomes in this game was only 5 of 10 against the blitz for 5.5 yards per attempt. That's a bad output for what you generally see from Mahomes. By contrast, against the blitz, Bryce Young was 11 of 14 for 140 yards and a touchdown, which is 10 yards per attempt.
Which is usually Spag's game, man.
Right. So the Bryce Young actually dominated against the blitz, and Mahomes, the guy that usually is absolutely scintillating against the blitz, did not. And that was a big part of this. Where Mahomes did show up, though, and this is, again, like, the man is inevitable, 3rd and 4th down. Hasn't played particularly well in the game, but 3rd and 4th down is where he absolutely just decided, I'm going to make those plays. 3rd and 4th down in the game, Mahomes was 4 for 4 passing, including 2 touchdowns, 15.5 yards per attempt. And then on the run as well, he had another 2 scrambles for first downs, including vital plays. So 6 first downs essentially on those 3rd and 4th down plays. You need to get him off the field on those. Otherwise.
Noah Gray with the 35-yard touchdown on the very first drive. Noah Gray's made a lot of plays last few weeks here as the other tight end to Travis Kelce. Finds the end zone twice. DeAndre Hopkins with another touchdown there. But yeah, Mahomes with the 33-yard. I mean, as soon as the Panthers were just excited to be in it, I'm sure, right? With other teams, like when the Bills are
just happy to be here.
I'm just saying, like when the Bills are trying to, if that was the Bills, we'd be saying, don't leave too much time. We'd be playing this this game theory thing. With the Panthers, it's like, all right, score the touchdown, you get the 2-point conversion to tie it up, and then it's like, oh, by the way, Mahomes and the Chiefs have a buck 45 or whatever it was left. It's like, yeah, they're probably going to get into field goal range.
But this is, I mean, Mahomes is just inevitable is the word that keeps coming up. Like the plays that he's making I don't know if this is repeatable or if, I mean, it is repeatable. He's been doing it repeatedly. I don't know if it's a product of variance or if he is just genuinely, like whatever the clutch gene is, he has it distilled to such a ridiculous degree that he can basically take most of a game off, but then be like, nah, it's third down now. I'm going to show up here. But like his touchdown to Nuke Hopkins was ridiculous. Like the pocket's collapsing again. He just starts weaving around, bouncing, and then like, oh, look, Hopkins is open. Like fires it in this ridiculous arm angle, the wrong direction, right to him, touchdown. Again, late in the game, the Panthers have made the plays. Bryce Young has tied the game up. You're in trouble. It's like, no, I'm just going to take off, scamper, take most of this yardage that I need now, right now, individually. I'm going to do it. Was like the run he had earlier in the season where he took off and a guy didn't take him out at the sideline. He just scampered up the sideline.
The key scrambles at the right time.
And again, like another guy just kind of eased up a little bit and didn't run hard and take him out.
It's funny because if you were really critiquing Mahomes, you could say he may, and he's had the ankle injury this year. Has he lost like half a step this year in some of his pocket mobility? Because he's gone down to the ground maybe a few more times than he has in the past, but he's still been able to break out these 30-yard runs in crunch time as really high, massive high variance swings at the game. So he still has it. But you could say, oh, maybe he's not as good at avoiding some of the sacks, and you kind of saw that in this game with the Panthers, but still has it when they need it. The one other piece of that scramble, they got into field goal range. Schrader's their undrafted, pickup kicker because Harrison Butker's injured. Harrison Butker can kick those 50-plus yarders, so you have a different standard.
Right.
That you have confidence in Butker at 50-plus. You don't have to go that far for the game-winning field goal. They got into field goal range for a 31-yarder. For Schrader for the walk-off field goal. That was important, too, for the offense to make sure that they made it an easier field goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they took care of that. So Chiefs take care of business. And now with Gardner Minshew injured, they were staring down the barrel of a Black Friday game against the lowly Raiders with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. So Chiefs moved to 10-1, looking at 11-1 most likely coming up on Friday.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.